So guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Friday and it is that time again for our weekly score prediction. Some big matches coming up this weekend. As always, I'm interested to get your verdict on them. So all this weekend's games will be in the description down below for you guys to go ahead and make your score predictions. And to now spice things up a little bit, we are now going to be introducing a new prediction league into this series as well. So as you can see to the side of me, those are currently the standings for you guys and the predictions that you have made so far. So those are currently the top 24 predictors from the comments down below. So Jake Mady is currently leading the way for the most correct score predictions. And to get involved, all you need to do is leave your score prediction. So as always, all the normal rules apply. So if you do go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. But without any further ado, let's hop into these score predictions. So starting out with tonight's game, we got Huddersfield going up against Nottingham Forest. A big game, all things considered. Both sides having a relatively poor start to the season. Forest losing their first opening matches, both by 2-0. Huddersfield as well as Forest yet to get on the score sheet. So it's going to be a bit of a nervy one, this one. I don't see it being a complete goal fest or anything like that. The problem that Forest have had lately is Lewis Grabban's been so isolated in the two matches they've had. He probably should have had 2 or 3 goals by now, but it's just not quite clicked for him or anyone in that Forest final third. Joe Lolly, I'm not sure if he's going to be 100% coming into this one. I know he picked up a bit of a knock last time, but everyone in Forest final third's just been looking a bit out of sorts recently. It's been a very sluggish start to the season, and I think that Sabri Lamucci now realises that he is under pressure if he doesn't start the season well. Carlos Corberan, I think, has got a little bit more leeway at Huddersfield. I think it's very much a building process there where they're still short of a couple of people moving forward, which you can't really say about Forest. It's been a really busy summer transfer window so far, with new signings McKenna and Harry Arter recently coming in for them as well. There's big pressure on this match. I'm edging towards Forest, perhaps. I'm going to go 1-0 Forest away. If Forest don't start winning soon, they're going to make me look pretty silly because I think I've backed them to win both their previous matches. And then to one of the massive games of the weekend, we've got Watford going up against Luton. These two coming up against each other for the first time since 2006. And you have to say that Luton have got a relatively decent record at Vicarage Road. The last time that Watford beat Luton here was all the way back in 1993. Luton have a set way of playing, and I think they'll really frustrate Watford for this one. Both sides were involved in the Carabao Cup in midweek, both sides being knocked out. Watford less than convincing against Newport, losing that one by 3-1, although they did rotate the squad quite a bit. Same can be said for Luton against Man United, although I actually thought the scoreline was a little bit harsh on Luton. Actually, I watched that game, I thought that they were quite compact and had their moments in that match, and like I said, the 3-0 probably flattered United a little bit, getting those 2 late goals. But for this one, I don't think there'll be all too much in it. Watford are still sort of trying to find their feet in the Championship and winning the draw for them in the league so far, whereas Luton have got off to a bit of a flyer, winning both their matches. They've got a set way of playing that I think Watford maybe find it tough at times to break them down, which we saw a little bit in the game against Sheffield Wednesday. I don't think there'll be all too much in this one. It's a shame that there'll be no fans there, but I'm going to sit on the fence a little bit and go for a 1-1 draw, whereas FIFA is backing Watford for all 3 points with a 1-0 home victory. After that, and as the second early kick-off on Saturday, we then got Wycombe going up against Swansea. Now, Wycombe will be looking to bounce back from that horror show they had at Ewood Park last time out. Darius Charles will be suspended for this one after he picked up a red card. It's an interesting one against this Swansea team at the moment because I think that they've got good passages of play defensively. They've been really sound so far, keeping back-to-back clean sheets. However, going forward, just haven't quite got going yet. They've only scored the 1 goal, that being in their victory at Deepdale against Preston. Goalless draw last weekend against Birmingham. This is going to be one where their attacking third is going to be put to the test a little bit. I expect Swansea to dominate the ball and try and put Wycombe into these uncomfortable positions. It's just a question of can they get that clinical edge back about them that they had towards the tail end of last season. Now, what Wycombe really seemed to struggle with against Blackburn was their pace going forward, so this could be a game to suit Swansea and the likes of Ayew and Lowe bouncing off each other. If they manage to get in behind a couple of times, I think they could cause Wycombe some real problems for this one. And then Wycombe obviously will have their breaks and their threats from set pieces coming into the box. For a score prediction, I think I am fancying Swansea. I think they do have a bit more about them. I think that on the ball and that quality going forward may come up in this one. I'm going to go 2-0 to the away side, whereas FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 Swansea. Next up then to Barnsley up against Coventry. For Barnsley, things just haven't quite fallen for them so far. They were involved in the EFL Cup in midweek. They lost 6-0 against Chelsea, and to be fair to Barnsley, they put out pretty much a full-strength side for that one, which wasn't the case for the majority of the Championship clubs who were involved in the Carabao Cup, most of them making 11 changes. But For that one, listen, Barnsley don't change the way they play for anyone, do they? They very much went into that one with the same mentality. It was just a few silly defensive blunders which ended up costing them. And things in the Championship so far just haven't quite gone their way. On the opening day against Luton, they lost it by 1-0. Couldn't take their chances going forward. Against Reading in the first half, actually looked really good. They had a lot of chance in that one, but the 2 red cards after that didn't help them, and then from then on, just couldn't quite bounce back from it. Going up against the Coventry side, who I've liked the look of so far. On the opening day, I thought got a little bit unlucky against Bristol City, and a good 3 points against QPR last time out. I think we knew Coventry's threats coming into this season, but in that QPR game especially, it was highlighted. Their 2 wing backs, Dabo and Giles, really involved in that one. They've been scoring goals lately, Coventry, and I think they'll put Barnsley into some uncomfortable positions. Obviously, Barnsley will look to press them, and Coventry will then make their moves going forward on the counter-attack. I'm edging towards Coventry, I think, in this one. I think that with Barnsley involved in midweek, they may be a little bit jaded with them putting out pretty much their first team. I'm going to go 2-1 Coventry in that one, with FIFA saying it'll be a 1-1 draw. Can see goals being scored in that one. Then we go to St Andrews, as we've got Birmingham going up against Rotherham. Birmingham having a decent start to the season, played 2 playoff teams from last season and picked up 4 points from those matches. You'd expect a little bit of a different one in this one up against Rotherham for them to take the game to them a little bit more, but Rotherham themselves haven't looked too bad so far this season, I wouldn't say. In the game last weekend they had against Millwall, got a little bit unlucky, I thought, in all circumstances. It was one defensive lapse in concentration which cost them that game, and defensively and in midfield they've actually looked like a decent outfit. It's just going forward things haven't quite clicked for Rotherham. They've certainly looked a threat from set pieces, but from open play just need a little bit more. I'm wondering if someone like George Hurst, who's come in from Leicester, can be that extra bit of quality going forward. But for Birmingham, I think they're looking a decent outfit under Ita Karanka. They've added well in the transfer market. This is the sort of game for Birmingham where the 3 off the striker could really thrive in those little pockets of space, so the likes of Sanchez, Terrell and Bella. I think I am edging towards Birmingham for this one. I'm going to go with a 2-0 home victory, whereas FIFA is saying it'll be 1-0 Rotherham. Next up we then get to Cardiff against Reading, a tough game to call this weekend. Cardiff will be looking to ride on that momentum that they picked up from that impressive win at the City Ground, beating Forest by 2-0, Keith Moore with a brace in that one. But this Reading side can't be taken lightly at the moment. They've won their first 2 opening matches with pretty good performances, you have to say. Against Derby, some really nicely worked goals in that one, and against Barnsley as well, took their moments well when they went forward, obviously helped by the 2 red cards. But going forward at the moment, there aren't all too many sides who are more interesting to watch than Reading in the Championship with some of the options they have going forward. They're going to come up against a really compact Cardiff side though, as they usually are in home matches. I like the look of Cardiff last week against Forest. I'm going to back them to follow that up with a 2-1 in this game, but FIFA's going to back Reading for a 2-0 away victory, which wouldn't surprise me all too much. I feel like I could be playing a dangerous game writing off Reading for that one because they have looked good so far, but going to back Cardiff for that one 2-1. After that we then get to Derby against Blackburn. Now, we mentioned Reading being one of the most exciting teams going forward in the league at the moment. I'd probably, and I hate to say it, Blackburn are probably the most exciting side to watch. They put 5 goals past Wycombe, and the pace in that forward line, Brereton, Adam Armstrong, who's on absolute fire, and Tyrese Dolan as well, to consider that they still have Bradley Dack to add into that attacking third. Blackburn really could go under the radar this season, and they're playing Derby at a decent time. It's not been the best of starts to the season for them with back-to-back losses, but I do think Derby will eventually come good this season. I think they've got the right options in the squad there. They've added fairly well to it as well. I thought that Joswiak and Nathan Byrne looked decent on their debuts against Luton. I think that going down that right-hand side going forward this season, that will be a real area where Derby will get quite a lot of their goals from this season. But this Blackburn side cannot be underestimated at the moment, and I know people will say, oh, it was only Wycombe last time out, but Derby themselves have looked a little bit shaky at the back so far this season. I don't think they're completely set, and if there are any loose balls in midfield, you know that the likes of Bradley Johnson and Lewis Holtby are going to be looking for those through balls to the likes of Adam Armstrong and Dolan, who were absolutely terrific last time out. Score prediction, I'm edging towards Blackburn, you know, with the way they're playing at the moment. I think they'll have maybe a bit too much intensity for Derby. I'm going to go 2-1 Blackburn, but FIFA is going to back Derby to bounce back with the 2-0 home victory. Like I said, I do think Derby will come good this season, but Blackburn have looked good so far. Next up, we then got Millwall up against Brentford. 2 contrasting styles. It's always a really interesting tactical battle, this one. Last time at the Den, Millwall had a bit of a masterclass over Brentford in this one, but have got off to a bit of a mixed start so far. Defensively, they have looked really solid. They've not looked like giving much away. However, going forward, it's not quite clicked for Millwall so far this season. It's just been the Jed Wallace goal that they've scored in the league so far this season. Obviously, that one pouncing on from a mistake. They were in action in midweek, both sides were. Millwall did lose against Burnley. Troy Parrott did make his debut in that one, but was hooked off at half-time. He picked up an ankle injury, so really not got off to the best of starts there, and it's a shame because I think that a lot of Millwall's attacking threat this season could have come through Troy Parrott, so it's a shame that he will be waiting for his first championship game by all accounts. But this Brentford side, I'm interested to see how they get on in this one. Saman Ghoddos, I'm interested to see if he features for it. Ivan Toney, not yet got off the score sheet for Brentford, but has certainly been in those positions where it's only going to be a matter of time. You know, their last game in the championship, a fantastic 3-0 win over Huddersfield. Brandon Bimu really involved in that one, scored a fantastic goal to tip it all off. Josh De Silva from midfield keeps them ticking and moving forward, and obviously David Raya now back involved in that cup game in midweek. Score prediction for this one, I think it'll be a fairly low scoring one, but Brentford may get through it. It's a question of whether Millwall can be that resolute side and then get something from either a set piece or a counter attack or something like that. I'm going to go 1-0 Brentford. FIFA's going to agree with me, but that could easily be flipped on its head. And then to Deep Devils, we got Preston going up against Stoke. Now both sides were involved in the Carabao Cup in midweek. Stoke progressing to the next round, beating Gillingham by 1-0. Tyrese Campbell on the score sheet for that one. I think he's a player who deserves his shot with a start in the league. He took his goal really well. Preston did get knocked out by Brighton, but did make a lot of changes for that one. It's not going to be a team who I'd imagine will, you know, many of those will feature in this one. And in our last league match, a lot of positives to take from that one. It was a really good pressing performance away from home up against Norwich. Loads of energy in the midfield. I love the midfield combination of Ben Pearson, Ryan Ledson and Alan Brown back in that number 10 role now. Obviously, he spent a bit of time playing at right back, but I think back in his natural position, leads the press going forward for us. And our three forwards seem to be getting a little bit more involved as the games go on. Now this Stoke side don't give a lot away defensively. I'm interested to see if they do stick with that wing-back system that they've been playing in the league recently, or they do divert away from that a little bit more to give them a bit more edge going forward. Last time out for Stoke in the Championship wasn't a great performance against Bristol City. I thought they were quite under par for that one. Don't think there'll be all too much in this one though. I'm going to edge Preston. I'm going to go 1-0 Preston. FIFA's going to go 1-0 Stoke. It very much does have the feeling of a 1-0 of that one. Next up then to QPR versus Middlesbrough. Now QPR so far this season definitely had their highs and lows. One of the highs definitely been Lyndon Dykes and how well he's established himself within that QPR squad. Been a real handful for opposition defences so far. Already bagged a couple of goals, takes a thumping penalty, and he's definitely one to watch out for coming into this game against Borough. One of the cons of the season so far though, I mean that game against Coventry, some woeful defending on show in that one. And Middlesbrough have, I think, have played fairly well in both their matches so far, but haven't always got the result to show from that. Obviously it was a draw last time out against Bournemouth, where to be honest they could have gone ahead and snatched all 3 points from it. I'm also interested to see how Chuba Akpom gets in, how soon he's integrated into the squad. You could tell from those opening 2 matches that they were probably lacking a little bit of firepower going forward, so someone like Chuba Akpom does add to those options. This one probably going to be a little less free scoring than QPR's last outing against Coventry that ended 3-2. I'm going to say it's going to end level. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I don't think there'll be all too much to separate these two sides. QPR obviously can be fantastic going forward on their day, but they're coming up against a good solid Middlesbrough side at the moment. I'll go 1-1. FIFA's going 1-0 QPR. Then into Sunday's games, we've got Bristol City going up against Sheffield Wednesday. Both sides making good starts to the season. I'd say both unbeaten so far. Wednesday keeping back-to-back clean sheets as well. I think that's a big characteristic that they'll take forward. Been really hard to break down so far. They were each involved in the EFL Cup in midweek, both getting beaten by Premier League opposition, but they did make quite a few changes for that one. Interesting, Wednesday I saw that Adam Reach was back in the starting 11 for them in that midweek match. Things just aren't clicking for him at the moment, are they? Wednesday fans, I'd be interested to get your view down below of Adam Reach, because he just seems to be a shadow of his former self really. Over the last year or so, just hasn't quite been clicking into this Wednesday squad, has he? But Bristol City, I have to say, I have been impressed by them so far. Loads of energy about their performance. Chris Martin and Naki Wells linked up really well in that game. I think that could be a really good partnership this season. For a score prediction, it's a tough one. I think I am edging towards Bristol City for this one. I think they've got a little bit more going forward. Wednesday will make it tough for them, but I'm going to go 2-1 Bristol City in that game, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-0 Bristol City. You can't write Wednesday off at the moment because they have been resilient, but Bristol City may have a tad too much. And then to go ahead and round things off, we got Bournemouth going up against Norwich. An exciting game to finish the weekend off with. Norwich last time out in the Championship, a 2-2 draw against Preston. Not at at their best so far this season, Norwich. It did take them a little bit of time to get going from their game against Huddersfield as well, and they're coming up against this Bournemouth side who I thought actually put in a decent shift in midweek against Man City. They lost that one by 2-1, but defensively were quite resilient, and they definitely made Man City work for that win in the end. In the Championship as well, Bournemouth have had that attacking threat going forward so far, albeit it wasn't always on show against Middlesbrough, but with the likes of Danjuma, Stanislas and Dom Solanke, I think they will cause Norwich some problems, who did show from their game against Preston that this Norwich defence can be got at, especially from counter-attacks and set pieces and things like that. However, they can be clinical going forward. You know, Timu Puki's fit right in at this level again. He's already on the score sheet. Placheta got off the mark last weekend as well. I think he'll be quite a viable option for them going forward. This is a game where I can see quite a few goals being scored, actually. I think it'll be quite an open one. Both sides going for it. There's no reason for either of them to sit back. They've both got really exciting options going forward. I think a lot of people are eagerly waiting to see if Emi Buendia makes his return to the squad, but I think this one could be a bit of a cracker. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw with FIFA saying be 1-0 Norwich. But guys, there we have it. That will now wrap it up for today's video. So thank you very much for watching. If you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do get your score predictions in the comments down below for a chance to be involved in the next video and get yourself onto the prediction league. But apart from that, like I said, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to stick around and subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. But apart from that, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.